Hello, hello, the doc is in, and today we are talking about chapter 1044 of One Piece. More specifically, we're talking about the revelation of, the major revelation of that chapter. If you haven't read the chapter out yourself yet, go read it. I feel like it's important, but I imagine if you're watching this video, you've already read it. So this is your little spoiler warning if you haven't, and so we're just gonna hop into this. So, the Gomu Gomu no Mi, the rubber fruit, now being the human fruit, well, mythical human fruit model Nika or Sun God, has definitely been quite the revelation in the community. There's like a huge turning point or whatever, and I just wanted to talk about it, put out my thoughts or whatever, and kind of like shoot to bring some consensus on this situation. Now, first off, let's just start with this. For the story in and of itself, like, what does this mean for the story now that Luffy's fruit is basically revealed to not be what we initially thought it was? Well, it just means we're in the end game now. This means that at this point we are heading into the end game. Everything's I won't want to say serious because it's always been serious, but at this point we can now see that things are being finalized. Like, clearly, what's going on with the fruit is that previously, he was using all the abilities, whatever, got the gears, yada yada yada. At this point, he's awakened his ability, which is suggested by the Gorosei multiple times in the last 10 or so chapters. They've been basically saying like, oh, there's a special fruit, I hope it doesn't awaken. Now it's awakened. So that's where all the new powers come from. We're kind of seeing like this is likely going to be Luffy's like last additional form. Like, there's not gonna be anything else added. Maybe there might be variations on Gear 5th, maybe, but I feel like that's pushing. At this point we're looking like into the future. At this point, let's just talk about this very moment. For right now, this is likely his last gear. There probably will not be another gear in the traditional sense. This is it. And with that being said, and with this revelation of him having a mythical zone, I think this all just comes back to, hey, this is heading to the end of the journey. All right, Luffy likely in the next couple of chapters or so is going to beat Kaido, thereby now being definitely absolutely on Yonko's status. A Yonko going down is going to be huge. Technically 2 Yonkos, because Big Mom's also kind of down. I mean, I don't know if she's out, but she's definitely down at this moment. The government is definitely not going to be happy about the fact that Luffy's awakened his fruit. Like, all these things are going to start moving at a much more incredible pace because of the fact that Luffy's awakened his fruit. And I feel like everybody needs to everybody's living in the moment like, oh my god, what's going on with the fruit? Joy Boy, blah blah blah. No, you should be excited for this for sure. Absolutely, I'm excited. Trust me. But looking off into the future, we are gonna have a lot of things going on coming up. Like, breakneck speed is about to be activated any moment now. So that's something I thought would be important to mention to all the fans and whatnot. So be prepared for that. Now, that's what it means. Well, that's what this means for the story. Now, what does this mean for Luffy? For Luffy, I don't think this really changes much in terms of Luffy as a character. Obviously, like I said, story progression wise is like a big moment, but on Luffy himself, I mean, from what I can tell and what Oda seems to be going for, just based on up to 1044, it's still Luffy. It doesn't seem like Luffy's doing anything, is going to be doing anything particularly different. It's not like he's become a different person, or like Joy Boy's influencing him now or anything like that. It seems like outside of the fruit itself being special, and the fact that likely was used by a previous by Joy Boy, the original one, based on Zudisha's comment, and the fact that the awakening of the Gomu Gomu, well, I guess, yeah, the Gomu Gomu no Mi, or the human fruit model Nika, being special and particularly strong, it seems. Outside of that, it doesn't seem like there isn't really a special property to the fruit in terms of like, oh well, now he's like overpowered per se. It's just really strong. It just happens to be a really good fruit if you have the capabilities of wielding it, which Luffy does. another thing I want to say for this situation relating back to Luffy is that I think I cannot stress that Luffy as a character is not becoming like God or like changing or anything like that. His previous activities and all the things he did are not diminished by the idea that he has a really strong devil fruit, ergo why he was able to do all the things he's able to do. No, Luffy is just that guy, ergo why he's able to do a lot of strong things with the fruit. But I feel like, especially with the mention of like, oh, your imagination kind of like gives you the ability to do whatever, is how Oda's kind of basically is kind of like attributing Luffy's achievements to him, not the fruit, by saying that that its abilities kind of come down to what the user wants to do. It basically moves away from the idea that, oh well, Luffy could just do whatever, so of course he wins his fights, and he's a mythical zone, so of course he wins his fights. Like, no. If the person who had this fruit was like Orochi or something, he probably would never get to awakening or really be particularly strong or versatile with the fruit, and the fruit would just suck, as generally was the case, assumed case previously with any person meeting Luffy for the first time. It's like, oh, he's just rubber. It's just rubber. And if it was Orochi, it'd still just be rubber. It's only because Luffy has tenacity and the imagination and the strength and skills and all that stuff and all the various other things he's learned and gathered for himself. Those are the things that truly make him capable of doing all the things he does, not the fruit itself. So if you thought that, oh well, Luffy's just Jesus, so that's why he's able to do everything he's able to do. Wrong. Luffy's just that guy. That's all it is. It's not about the fruit. So I think these things especially are like the main things that really need to be discussed in terms of the chapter. I think that the decision by Oda to not attribute Luffy's accomplishments to something else, or not to take away Luffy's agency inside the story, were great choices and important choices to make, because I feel like it would really break the fabric of the story if the introduction of his sun god abilities would then be like, oh well, you've always been able to do all these crazy things. It's probably because of it's Luffy's thing. All right, Luffy's skills, his thing, all his stuff, that belongs to him. These are all his medals, not the fruit's medals. Now, the idea that, one thing I will mention is that the idea that not even Luffy's fruit, the sun god, let's just call it sun god fruit for easiness sake, the sun god fruit having its own personality or something, I'm not sure how much we're gonna depend it on that, on like how much agency does the fruit itself have. Like, is it like a fate thing where it's like, oh, the reason why the Gorosei / the world government weren't able to get the fruit for such a long time wasn't necessarily because the fruit itself was doing something different, but more so because fate was just not having it in the way that they would get the fruit. Like, they just wouldn't be able to get to the fruit on their own. I think that's kind of supported by the idea that Shanks, when they did have the fruit, Shanks was able to steal it back. So, probably stuff like that happened for 800 years, and I guess maybe that could also lead you to believe that, there's a little bit of fate aspect to it. But either here nor there, I think, well, I don't know what I think about that. I feel like maybe we should get an explanation on that, but like, devil fruits and like souls, and like how do devil fruits work from like Vegapunk. For right now, I think just saying that, they just, for one reason or another, every time they would be able to get it, they just couldn't keep it, is a different thing. And I did mention the Shanks thing, and I would like to touch on that. Did Shanks know about the fruit's abilities and all this stuff going on with the awakening and all that stuff? Not a clue. I mean, Shanks seems to be pretty knowledgeable, but we really don't know where. We don't really know. Well, we kind of assume his allegiances lies with like Luffy and stuff, but we really don't know. We don't really know much about Shanks, so can't really make a strong. Well, you can make a number of points, but you can't really make a great stance on like where he lies in all this situation. We'll just have to wait till we meet Shanks eventually, and hopefully he doesn't die to Blackbeard before we get to him. And so, yeah, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to touch on for Luffy and his awakened fruit and all that stuff. Hopefully, we see quite the beatdown, get a good, not a good explanation, but like get to see the full, get a good idea for the full capabilities of the fruits. I'm wondering if we get a drawback, because if there's no drawback, then logically speaking, Luffy should always fight in Gear 5th. Like, there's no reason why he should ever fight in any of his other gears. Maybe just normal in Gear 5th if there are no drawbacks. But there probably will be a drawback. That's just how Oda works. And I'm hoping the world government gets involved towards the end of this war, because I feel like that would be the most interesting way to go with the story. But that's neither here nor there. Thank you for watching the video. Leave a like if you like. Leave a dislike if you dislike. Comment if you want to. You know, I love to hear you guys' thoughts. Not that it's particularly often that you guys drop comments, but you know, I would appreciate if you did. And subscribe if you're feeling generous. It would really warm my heart. The doc is out. Peace.